So guys, I hope that you are excited and ready for the future because the FAA is going to start looking for people with severe physical and intellectual disabilities to hire for diversity. So let's go ahead and talk about what today's article is. It is on Fox News. FAA's diversity push to include focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. So let's go ahead and first check our own privileges here to see if it is just us who is in the wrong. Let's see what you guys think in this article. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer from severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. They include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism. I don't know if that's really much of a disability other than the fact that they're just a little bit shorter than everybody else. The initiative is part of the FAA's Diversity and Inclusion Hiring Plan. Diversity is integral to achieving FAA's mission of ensuring safe and efficient travel across our nation and beyond. Because yes, whenever I think of safety and traveling in an airplane, the first thing I always think about is how diverse is the crew? How diverse is everybody up in the air traffic control? I want to make sure that I have people up there that have epilepsy and dwarfism and severe psychiatric problems. That way, when I'm in the air and drinking my ginger ale and having my pretzel, I know that I am safe because there's a guy or gal with epilepsy in the air traffic control. So let's move forward. The FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg's Department of Transportation, is a government agency charged with regulating civil aviation and employs roughly 45,000 people. All eyes have been on the FAA and airline industry in recent days after a plugged door on a Boeing 737 MAX 9 blew out during an Alaskan Airlines flight on January 5th. Today, by the way, is January 15th. The FAA grounded all 737 MAX 9 planes after the incident and is carrying out an extensive inspection and maintenance work. The FAA added that it would increase oversight of Boeing in the wake of the incident, including auditing Boeing 737's MAX 9 jetliner production line and companies that supply parts to the airline manufacturer. Following the incident, social media commentators and public figures have said that the airlines and airline manufacturers' emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives has made flying less safe. This is from Elon Musk on X. He goes, "Do you want to fly in an airplane where they prioritized DEI hiring over your safety?" This is actually happening. The DEI rot in the airline industry is way worse than you think, Daily Wire commentator Matt Walsh wrote in an op-ed last week. Critics of such commentary have pushed back on the argument that prioritizing DEI has made traveling less safe, with civil rights groups slamming Musk, for example, for the abhorrent and pathetic tweet. On the actual FAA's website, the agency states that people with severe mental and physical disabilities are the most underrepresented segment of the federal workforce. And I would find that to be for good reason. Do you want people working in the federal government making authoritative positions and rules and regulations in charge? Do you want them who have severe physical impairment flying your planes? Do you want them working in your air traffic control? Or is the air traffic control going to stay the same, but it's going to be in positions that don't really have life or death situations in it and inform of those? Because diversity is so critical, FAA actively supports and engages in a variety of associations, programs, coalitions, and initiatives to support and accommodate employees from diverse communities and backgrounds. Our people are our strength, and we take great care in investing in and valuing them as such. That's what the FAA reads. When asked for comment on the initiative, including what roles people with disabilities would fulfill, the FAA told Fox News Digital that the agency thoroughly seeks and vets qualified candidates from as many sources as possible for a range of positions. What are those positions, I would ask? And how hard are you working just to find somebody in that role? Hey, we got these 400 candidates, but almost all of them are just white males. Well, we need somebody from a diverse background. That what number did they place? Here's the issue I have with it. Let's go with 100 applicants for a job at the FAA, right? And let's say that job is air traffic control. And you have a certain percentage that you want to mark at for people with severe or intellectual disabilities. Let's say out of the 100 people, you need 5 positions filled. The top 15 to 20 scored immensely well, but they're white men. I'm not saying white men are only the best ones for the job. I'm not. But what I'm saying is most likely it's going to be a white person applying for that job. Why? Because the population of America is consistent. It's about 60 to 65% of white people. So let's say most of those guys, white guys. No. We don't want them. We want somebody we need somebody who's diverse. We need a black guy. We need a black woman. We need somebody with a severe mental illness. We need somebody with an intellectual disability. We need a dwarf. We need a guy who's got epilepsy. Where did they score at? And this is just hypothetically speaking. Oh, well, we had a guy with epilepsy that scored at number 35. Put him number 1. We'll put him number 2. And well, we got a guy with a schizophrenia. Put him number 3. We need to hire these people. We need to get them in. We need to skip out all these good pilots, people who applied for the job. And now here's what I'm also saying too. If there's somebody who, let's say, is transgender and they scored number 1, what does that mean? It means you hire that person because they're the best qualified for that job, as long as that testing has not minimalized since its inception of qualified pilots or qualified air traffic controllers or qualified positions. As long as the testing is good and they're all people who are black or female or anything else other than a white man, hire them because they're clearly the best for the job. But if you're only hiring them because of their disability, just because of their race or gender or orientation, I find that to be wrong. Because if I'm flying in a plane, I don't want somebody being my pilot that was hired only because they're a woman or only because they're black. I want the best fucking pilot. I want the best pilot. If the best pilot is a transgender woman, that's the best pilot. Whether I agree with it or not, that's the best pilot. I want them. The FAA employs tens of thousands of people of wide range positions, from administrative roles to oversight and execution of critical safety functions. Like many large employers, the agency proactively seeks qualified candidates from as many sources as possible, all of whom must meet rigorous qualifications that, of course, will vary by position. Dr. Stanley Goldfarb, chair of Do No Harm, a group of healthcare professionals, medical students, and policymakers working to protect healthcare from radical, divisive, and discriminatory ideology, told Fox News Digital that similar to the medical field, the aviation industry has an obligation to protect its travelers. The aviation industry has a responsibility for traveler safety, such as healthcare industry has a responsibility for patient safety. These responsibilities outweigh other factors when considering applicants to work in those fields. People with disabilities who can successfully complete the task should never face discrimination, said Goldfarb, a retired professor and former associate dean for a curriculum at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. There's a part where I similarly agree with Dr. Goldfarb, but I don't think that coming out and saying that we need to have a certain percentage or we need to strictly hire based off of severe intellectual and physical capabilities or disabilities is the right way to go. And that's what's going to end up happening. The Quartering, who's got a YouTube channel and a Rumble channel. By the way, guys, I'll be posting this to YouTube and on Rumble as well. So you let me know what you guys want to listen to it on. If you guys prefer it on Rumble, I'll start posting everything on Rumble. But other than that, just give it a follow. But the Quartering talks about his wife is a pilot, and he has foresight in the field of aviation. And his guess is that a huge, large incident is going to happen this year. That's what he talked about in a couple of his episodes. That's what his guess is. And I do agree with him. If we're going to be going in this route where we've got people with severe disabilities that are working in air traffic control with a high stress situation, which, by the way, they force you to retire at 20 years. And they force you to get off on shift so that way you don't work any extra hours, because it is such a high stressful job that if we're starting to put people in with severe disabilities, can they take the stress? Can they manage the stress? Are they going to be able to perform their duties? I don't know. Only time will tell. The FAA's website outlines that some managers can hire disabled people and veterans through an on-the-spot hiring process, provided required documentation is submitted. The FAA also notes that employees with disabilities will be provided reasonable accommodation. Reasonable accommodation for the FAA ensures that employees with disabilities have access to accommodations to suit their needs. This can include modifications made to their existing facilities or special equipment, according to the website. Let's go ahead and check out some of these comments from Duncan Flanagan. Incidents like this have convinced me that we got it all wrong about the benefits of inclusiveness and diversity. Clearly, social functions are better when there's a common culture, a sense of morality, uniform applications of law, and shared values. From Willie Mae Washington, Pete Buttigieg and everybody else who came in with the Biden administration are proof that there is no lack of people with severe intellectual abilities and psychiatric problems, which is true. If you guys watch any videos of Biden talking, he is somebody with a severe intellectual disability. Number 2, what could possibly go wrong with having such people at the console, an air traffic controller, or armed with a loaded gun at a security post? It's something that it is pretty amazing that this is happening. So I work in a separate field, obviously, from aviation, but I work in a healthcare field. I'm a firefighter here for a local fire department full-time. And at my department, we don't do the DEI initiative, but there are fire departments out there that have this initiative to hire anything other than a white male. So the running joke is, if you're applying for a certain fire department, some would say it's the capital of Indiana. Some would say, I wouldn't say that, but people have told me, they've told me that plenty of times, that if you apply for that department, your chances as a white male go down dramatically. Why? Because they specifically look for a certain gender, certain orientation, certain type of person. So whether it's by your race, gender, or orientation, you have a better chance of getting a job there just because of those things. Does that make you the best firefighter? If you score high enough, that makes you the best firefighter. But if you're only getting the job just because of your race or your gender, I feel like there was something back in the day that they would have a term for that I just can't put my finger on it. But I'm sure you guys can figure it out. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, follow the channel, and I will see you on the next one.